Welcome to the Friday at 4 podcast series with your host Charles Luttrell and co-host Steve Kent.
Steve, good afternoon. Welcome back to Friday at 4, episode 34.
Thanks, Chuck. It's great to be back. It's a good Friday, so I'm good.
Good Friday. It's an interesting Friday, and I think it's an interesting topic we're going to discuss today. And just to let all of our anybody listening to this, as Steve always talks about, and we always want to talk about that, this isn't scripted. This is something that we pick a topic and we just talk about it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what's special about this episode is you don't even know the story of anything of what I'm about to tell you.
Uh-oh.
So this is going to be shocking to not only to the audience but to you as well. So
Okay.
So I'm going to dive into it real quick so don't take up all of your time. So, with my website, I've been planning on some changes and I want to update my website. So last night I did some research and I found out that, I could just point my website to a different web page that I have and my homepage will change to that. I found it. I went in, I changed it like it said. I hit the save button and it said it could take, up to a couple of hours, up to 48 hours to make the change. Great. I went on, did some other things, did my, social media post, come back to it. No website. It's all gone.
Who?
Refreshed. Oh, maybe it'd take some time. Got scared. Let me go back and undo what I did. All right. Wait a little while. No website. Chuck goes to bed and says, you know what? Let's worry about this in the morning because it's like 12 o'clock at night. It's getting late at night. Woke up this morning. No website. Yeah. So I called GoDaddy and I said, hey, this is what I'm trying to do. This is what I wanted to do. And she's like, okay, well, let's go back and see what you did. Okay, now blah, 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 blah. Okay. We see what you did, but all right, well, we fixed it and it should be okay. And by this time I'm getting ready to head out the door. I gotta start my day, I gotta get running.
Yeah.
And it looked like it was working. So I jump in the car, I'm on the road, and I happen to just cruise back onto QACteam.com and nothing. Gone. Yeah. Look at your face. Yes. So it must have been maybe an hour or two after I checked it, it finally resolved itself. And the cool thing is, what I wanted to do in the first place actually stuck. So when they went back and changed what I did, it seems like I was okay with what I was doing. I made a mistake by jumping the gun and reverting back to what I should not have reverted back to.
Got it.
So the website is actually what I want it to be now. I'm going to add and move things around, change some things, but it's actually pointing to what I want to point to now.
Good.
So, and the moral of the story is, and the girl from GoDaddy actually told me as well, you can work on your website. She says, but leave the DNS stuff to us. Yeah, and I got it. And my rhyme to that is don't mess with the DNS.
Okay.
So, with that being said, our topic of discussion today is DIY. Sometimes you want to do it yourself. Sometimes you don't want to do it yourself. Now, go ahead. Hit me, Steve. Let's hear what you got.
Well, if I could reach through the screen, I would smack you for trying to do stuff that you shouldn't have done.
Well, remember, though, what I did actually worked. I just didn't give it time, I think.
Right.
But still, don't mess with DNS because it was a mess.
Well, that stuff, even though I have an IT background, that stuff is way beyond me. So, but as a general statement, I agree. There comes a point, and we'll dive into this in a minute, but there comes a point where you really have to say, should I or shouldn't I? And the challenge with that statement is this small little 3-letter word called ego.
Yeah.
I'm doing it. I'm not giving it to anybody else. I'm getting it done. I don't care what it looks like. I'm doing it.
Yeah.
And invariably, the next word that comes to mind is boom, it's going to blow up in your face.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, I I know a lot of things and I can do a lot of things computer wise, web wise, web pages, all that good stuff. I know a lot of stuff. I know what I'm doing.
Mhm.
And with this, I've dabbled in this for a while. I understand a lot of it.
Mm,
But again, my statement, I'm sticking to my statement. Don't mess with DNS because once
mm,
you redirect those servers that they and my site was actually parked for about an hour.
mm.
There was nothing. It just said welcome to QACteam.com. Yeah, this site belongs to someone. However, we can broker it and try to sell it, get it sold for you. I'm like, oh, well, I need to fix this. So yeah, yeah, scary.
It is scary. It is
Yeah.
scary. So and I've said this in many, episodes before, when I got out of corporate, I had my own business for 2 years. And I'm going to narrow that down for the purposes of this episode. But in that 2 years, I had my cousin who helped me. It was 100% my business, but she was like the brains because there was a certain certification that I did not have that she did. So she became the brains behind the operations. But I did everything else. So she created the program, she ran it, she worked, met the parents, met the students, did all that stuff. But I did everything else, the marketing, the sales, the HR. I mean, the whole ball of wax was mine. And it was okay because she did the other half to a point. And this is where we're going to get into this. When you have, and I'm going to focus on the business, some financial, some operational, but when I had my business, I wanted to do everything. Part of it was pride. Part of it was I thought I knew what I was doing. Part of it was I thought I had enough time to do everything. And the resounding statement of that is I was wrong and wrong and wrong. So, a little common theme there, right?
Right.
But what I learned the hard way, which is why we're kind of sharing this so people don't make the same mistakes, there comes a point where you really have to ask for help and put your ego down, put your pride down, whatever you want to call it, put it down and really figure out. And it may just be as simple as, put it on paper, put it in a computer document, whatever you do. What are all the tasks that have to get done in your business? And I'm talking all the tasks financially, operationally, HR, the works.
Yeah.
And then figure out what your skill is and do those. The
Yeah.
rest, if you have the opportunity, have somebody else do it. And we'll figure out in a second what that means. But have
Yeah.
somebody else do it. Because in addition to all those things of working what we call in the business, getting the operations to work, who's going out to generate more business? Who's going out to work with existing clients, existing vendors? There's only so many hours in a day. There's only you. And the numbers just don't add up. Or as my son says, the math doesn't math.
Math isn't mathing.
Math doesn't math. And it doesn't work.
That's right.
So, yeah, so you have to sit there. Now, there are times that, and I get it, I was one of them. I had the business. I invested more than I should have instead of borrowing to open it up. I invested all my own money. First mistake. Take note of that. Use somebody else's money to open your business. Um,
Right.
but find person or persons who have the skill sets either you don't or can do it better than you. Now,
Yeah.
I'm not saying give them the keys to the front door. I'm not saying give them your passwords to your bank account. Some stuff you want to keep, But a lot of the other stuff that you can give away, give away.
Yeah.
And if it means if you can't pay somebody because you haven't made the money yet, funds are running low, give somebody a percentage on a temporary basis, a
Yeah.
percentage of top line, a percentage of bottom line, something to have them a vested interest so they'll work harder, smarter, faster, cheaper, and all those things.
Right.
But that's the only way you're going to make it work. There's not
Yeah.
enough time. And there are plenty of people out in the viewing audience that are extremely smart. And I'm sure they're much smarter than me. And that's
Yeah.
okay.
And one thing, right? I want to add to that while you're saying that. One thing that really hit me as I realized this morning, how dumb it was, but how I'm glad it happened the way it did because it made me realize that, you know, part of building a team for your business is leveraging other companies. For example, it just made me realize that GoDaddy is part of my team because
Mm.
they house my domain, they have my domain name, they house my website, it's through WordPress. However, GoDaddy is part of my team because now they can help me. I don't have to worry about breaking it and then have them fix it. I can call them and say, hey, this is what I want to do. And they can go, all right, fixed. Like you said, drop the ego.
Mhm.
Don't have to do it yourself. Ask them to do it. They'll do it for you.
Yep.
So you don't have to break it and have a site that's not working for what, 12 hours,
Right. Right. So
Yeah.
consider what you just said. If you go out, and we'll take the same example, your website, you don't know what you're doing, or you think you know what you're doing, and you do something and the website goes away. What if they can't get it back? You just lost everything: time, cost, frustration to try to get it back where it was. And then what are you
Yeah.
losing business wise in that interim? You took GoDaddy, they were able to save you, and not you, but the website. What
Yeah.
if they couldn't?
Yeah.
You're in trouble. So there comes a point that you want to do it yourself, but what's the downside if it doesn't work?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
in the vein of trying to figure out who can help you do things, again, so you have more time and effort, and we'll get into that piece in a second, the benefits. Let's say you wanted to delegate or share information or share responsibilities. Start with the non essential stuff that cannot get you in trouble, whatever that is in your business. Non essential, if that means maybe non customer facing, maybe non financial stuff, so that if something goes wrong, you're not going to get hurt. You have the time and little effort to fix it.
Yeah.
Um,
Something that's
think
not a
about
strain on the business, right?
Correct,
Yeah.
correct. No strain on the business,
Yeah.
and nobody knows on the outside, no financial, no. So you're okay.
Right.
So if it takes a couple hours, a couple days, you're back, but it doesn't hurt you.
Yeah.
Then you may want to consider, if you have nothing to delegate or nobody to delegate to, maybe you can delay doing things that are not urgent. Not everything you do has to be done. Not everything is of the same importance.
Yeah.
If you don't pay your electric bill, they turn the lights off. You don't pay your rent, they can evict you. But if you don't move a chair from one side of the desk to the other, who cares? It's not urgent. The business is going to close. Customers don't care. Vendors don't care. So what? So delay what's not urgent.
Yeah.
The other thing is you can do something and then train somebody and delegate it. So by training somebody while you're doing it, they're watching what you do, how you do, when you do. Then when you delegate it out, you watch them for a day, a week, whatever it takes to make sure they absorbed and understood every single thing in there.
Yeah.
So you can do it and then delegate it. The thing to consider also is there's a lot of people while yes, money is important, there's a lot of people who just want the recognition. They want the way to learn, to add value, to participate. Some people,
Yeah.
that's enough. So it may
Yeah.
not even cost you dollars, but you get a more loyal person on your team because they're helping you. They feel more important. They're not being told what to do. They have the responsibility to do.
Yeah. Absolutely.
You know, another thing to think about if you have the funds to do is to outsource. Now, there's a difference of outsource and offshore. Outsource is delegating out and going to pay for it, but you're delegating out to a company inside the US. Offshoring is delegating that same task to a company outside the US, typically overseas. That's what I did for years when I was in IT. The last 8 years, we
Hmm.
offshore. And there's pluses and minuses to that, which is another discussion. But you
Yeah.
have options. You can offshore, I'm sorry, outsource inside the US or offshore outside. The other option you can have, and I was in a conversation earlier today with somebody about using a virtual assistant. So, virtual assistants based on the company you go to and the tasks you need to delegate out to somebody could run you 100 an hour, 150 an hour. It could run you $3 an hour.
Yeah.
It depends on the task. Do you want to stay in the US? Do you want to go offshore?
Yeah.
Are you delegating mission critical stuff, which is always an issue of do you give up mission critical stuff or do you
Right.
delegate generic basic, here's a set of stuff I need you to post out on social media today. Follow up on the leads that come in. Different amount of responsibility of critical nature.
Yeah.
Now, by
So true.
delegating, I was like,
No, I was just saying, so true. Yeah, you're nailing it. Yeah.
yeah. So that's the delegation side. Again, different options. Um, some will cost you nothing for the staff because they want that responsibility. Some will cost you. Again, mission critical versus routine stuff.
Yeah. Right.
But what you get from delegating is you as the business owner, you have time to grow. You can rest because you're not doing 24/7. And you have the time to sit back and create how to make the business better, more customers, play bad choice of words, but play one vendor against the next. There's I can almost guarantee you that there's more than one vendor that does everything you do that you need.
Yeah. I'm sure. Yeah. Yep.
You know, Instead of putting everything to Chuck Incorporated, split that order between Chuck Incorporated and Steve Incorporated.
Yeah. And I know I was in trouble once I started the process. I understood it was simple. I know I was in trouble once I went backwards. And sometimes going backwards is a good thing, but in my situation, it was a bad thing. And talk a little bit about going backwards. I mean, what's that mean to you? Because sometimes we want to take a back pedal. Well, I'm about to step into something here. Let me go backwards, right? I mean, it's an option, right?
Well, there's always the question of, am I doing the right thing?
Yeah.
You know where you are today. If I make a change, is that where I really want to go?
And let me quickly say too, though, is that the reason I went this route was because I did not want to recreate a whole other website
Hmm.
and taking all of that data from that site onto my home page. I wanted a quick, easy way to do it. And although GoDaddy had it,
Hmm.
I wanted to go that route. And I just got scared and backpedaled.
No, no, that's okay. That's okay.
you know?
So if you're going to go the next step, back up, copy whatever you have,
Yeah.
copy the website just in case, copy your hard drive just in case, just in case you have to recreate. Now,
Yeah.
if you also want to do that and you're afraid to, let's say you do make that change and you're not quite sure, make sure you have a process in place that you can backpedal to where you are today if you changed. It's it's almost a really simple example, and it's probably very simplistic. You know what Excel is. You do
Love
something
it.
in Excel and you make a mistake. There's the back button or the undo button. Very simplistic example, but it's the same thing. If you're
Yeah.
going to make a change and roll something out, new something on your website, um, new option on your phone system when people call in, and you find it doesn't work, how quickly can you back out that change?
Yeah.
Minimize the negative impact.
And the scary part was when I went into the other screen into the DNS settings, there is actually a option to roll back to a
Hmm,
previous saved
okay,
option, and it gave me an error. Yeah,
that's
I'm
a
like,
problem.
that's a problem.
That's a problem.
That was a
Yeah,
problem.
yeah,
Yeah. And I
yeah,
was like, well, we're not working here. Let's just reach out to GoDaddy and just get it fixed.
yeah, yeah. Sometimes again, drop the ego
Yeah.
for time, cost, sanity.
Yeah.
Have a website that's now back up instead of down. Sometimes you just got to say, you know what, just help me.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
Well,
you
the,
know,
the thought of having almost 200 podcast episodes on my site not backed up only on YouTube,
mm-hmm,
that's a little discerning, to know that I don't have physical any of that stuff.
right.
Yeah. But
That's
it's okay
where that's
going
where
forward.
backups and other things come into play.
Yeah.
It
Moving
does.
forward, just keep going.
You move. Um, it's a different context, but it's almost like the trust but verify.
Yeah.
Move forward,
Yeah.
but have a backup plan.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, never
Yeah.
leave yourself fully exposed because if it doesn't work, there's a problem. Houston, we have a
And
problem. So,
yeah, and like I said, right, should have been a quick, easy change, which obviously it was. I just made it worse by getting involved with going backwards. I should have left it do its thing. For example, you cut your finger, it starts to scab. You pick the scab, it's going to come back open again. If you don't
right.
leave it alone, it's never going to heal. Just what I experienced.
Yeah, but I think that all comes from the society we live in and the mentality we have, which is I want it and I want it now.
Yeah,
So the fact that you clicked whatever button it was to start doing the process, you didn't get a result fast enough because you weren't aware of what it takes in the background to work. So when you
yeah.
click the button, you want an answer like, now, where is it? And
Where's my
because you didn't
website?
have it, you started to panic. Then you do
Yeah,
things you shouldn't have done. Now you got lucky, but what if you didn't?
yeah. What if it broke for real?
If you didn't
Yeah.
have it restored, I can guarantee you we would not be on this TikTok session today. I can guarantee that because you'd be pulling your hair out. So you got very lucky. But what if you're
Yeah.
not?
Well, the good thing is I have a very old copy of my website saved on my hard drive. So there would be something. It wouldn't be all the podcasts. I'd have to get them from
Okay.
YouTube, but I have something. I have and this reminds me, like later today or tomorrow, I'm going to do another backup of my entire website. So I have it since I made this change,
Right.
to the main page. Which check it out. I think you've seen part of it. I would like your feedback on it. I'm going to create another timer for the Friday at 4. I have the timer now set for the Chasing the Stars video series, which will be out at the end of the month,
Okay.
episode 5. So yeah, I've made some pretty cool changes. I think it's a
Okay.
little more simplicity for people to see what I actually do.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Good. Good.
yeah. So
Good. Good. Um, just again, don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't be afraid to delegate. It's your sanity. It's your time. It's for the
yeah,
betterment of the business. Now we talk I don't know what episode it was. At some point down the road, you're going to want to exit the business. And when you do, again, for whatever reason, you're going to want to exit. But when you do, you're going to want the most value you can get for that business. Your time, your effort, your experience, your customer base, whatever it is that you're trying to sell for the most you can.
Yeah.
But one of the things that will absolutely hurt you and likely stop you from selling your business is if the business revolves around you.
Yeah.
People who want to buy a business want, yes, they want the customers, they want the revenue, but they want a business that's functioning regardless of a new customer, um, a new product, a new anything. They want a system in place. But if everything revolves around you, your clients, your vendors, whoever, and you're not there, your business is not sellable because you are the business.
Yeah.
So it makes sense. Delegate, give responsibilities, have multiple people customer facing, have multiple people that know the system. It
Yeah.
should not revolve around you because if it revolves the right way, you don't have to be there at all.
Mhm.
You log in every day, you check the reports, you see to make sure things are right. You pop in occasionally unannounced to make sure people are doing their thing, but that's it.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, it's pretty cool. About a month or so ago, I created a life cycle of a customer for my
Mm,
business. And I created a whole business process of what you go through from beginning to end of my complete business model. So, of course, it needs to be tweaked, with more detail, but I laid out a very high level
mm,
of what is a life cycle of getting a customer client for me
okay.
and the whole business model, what it looks like, from the time you do a contact the customer to the time to do the podcast to the review all the way to the end. So,
And that's a
yeah,
smart move. So
yeah,
when you get to that point, as you continue to grow, you can then hire somebody,
yeah,
delegate specific tasks so you can now go meet the new customer while
yeah,
somebody or other not one or more people are doing the daily stuff. You can go out and build and work on the business.
yeah.
That's
Good
where you
stuff.
really want to go. No really successful person has ever done it on their own.
We talked about that early
Yeah.
on in an episode, way early back, that we talked about you can't do it alone. There's
Mhm.
nobody has. Everybody has got money from people. People have helped them with whatever chores they have.
Yep.
Anything early on in their business, they have help. You can't do it alone. You can't.
No, you cannot do
You
it
get
alone.
lucky, but
That's
it's
right.
hard. Yeah.
Time,
Yeah.
energy, knowledge,
Yeah.
money, a whole bunch of reasons. You cannot do it alone. You
Yeah.
can't.
Yeah. So true.
Yeah.
Yep.
So,
Final
yeah.
thoughts.
Final thoughts.
Reach through and smack me in the
Don't
computer.
don't let your ego get in the way. Um, and I'll go back to when I was in business. Yes, my cousin, extremely intelligent, and she did an amazing job, but everything else was me. Now, I can say now, looking back, that was not the smartest move. While I was in the middle of it, I did it.
Yeah.
But again, looking back, so if you can in your business, and this is not easy to do, but if you can take that step back and really look from an outside lens of what are the functions, who can do them, how fast can they get done, what functions really need to be done by you or somebody else, or not at all. Are
Yeah.
they really necessary? Are they nice to haves?
Yeah.
Look at all that stuff.
Yeah.
The idea again, and Chuck said this in the beginning, the idea of everything that we do here is to give you our experiences on what worked for us and what did not.
Yeah.
And, we're coming to you and again, we say this every single week. We're not sponsored. This is just two guys telling you the truth, of our experiences to try to help you not make the same mistakes we did. That's why
Yeah.
we
And
do this. So we hope that we're adding value.
yeah, and to add to that, right? Um, I think you brought up a good point. If I would have just took a step back and thought about what I was about to do, I probably would not have done it and just let me just call
Mhm.
GoDaddy. I'd take a step back, right, and say, hey, what are the consequences if this doesn't go right? I'll lose my website. Ugh. Let me go on the phone with GoDaddy, right? Rather than saying, well, it's a simple
Right.
process. It looks easy. But again, like I said early on, and I said it twice, I'm gonna say it again, don't mess with DNS. Bottom line, if you can build a website, great. DNS it's no joke, it's serious. Yeah.
Yep. So I was in I was in the IT world for over 30 years, long time. And my focus was quality assurance. Now, for those who are not familiar with quality assurance, that means somebody develops a piece of software, and before the public sees it, they have to make sure it works. That's what I
Works
did.
well
I made
and
sure it
works
worked.
well.
And at one point, I had a team of 1,000 people globally. So I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And I will tell you, when you go online and you click on the button, you hope that button works.
Yeah,
You don't
right.
know that. You don't
Yeah.
know that. And if it does not work, what's your backup?
Yeah.
But you need to
So
know
true.
that before you push the button.
That's so true.
So, in most cases, they will work, but there's always those oddball things that aren't quite right. And when you push the button, it doesn't recognize your specific situation and it
So
throws it
true.
into a loop, or it basically says, reject, you're gone, and all your data is gone.
Yep.
And you don't know
So
that
true.
before you push the button. So
Yeah.
to look at what Chuck did, back it up first.
Yep.
If it works, great. If it doesn't work, at least you have a backup to go back to.
Yeah. What could go wrong? I'm just simply pointing my web DNS to a different website. Oh, it's no big deal.
What
It
could
was a
go
big
wrong?
deal.
I don't like my website anyway. I needed to recreate it. So okay.
Yeah, there you go.
Now you
There
have
you
no
go.
choice, right?
Right. Oh man. Steve, thanks again for a
No,
wonderful episode.
absolutely.
Great
Absolutely.
conversation.
Yeah.
I think I'm hoping people that are watching this episode now can really relate to us and say, yeah, we've been there, we've done that. And we took it a step further and not made that mistake because, we have a team or we have teamwork, right? People who can help us, right?
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Our phone numbers are on here next to our names. Take down the numbers. Call us. Let us know if you have any questions. We'll talk to you. We want to share our experiences again so you don't make the mistakes we did. That's why we do this.
So true. Man. Steve,
Sounds
in
good.
closing, I'm glad you're here on the 4 o'clock, the Friday at 4 podcast because
It's 4 o'clock somewhere.
4 o'clock somewhere. And I'm glad it's 4 o'clock today. And I'm glad the day was good. It ended well.
Yep.
Started rocky, ended well, though. Things are going good. And
It ended well. That's the key.
yeah, and I hope you're having a great day.
You too. You
Hope you
too.
have a great rest of the day and enjoy the weekend. And
Mhm.
we'll chat soon.
You got it. Thanks, everyone.
Awesome.
Have a great weekend.
Steve, take care, buddy. Everybody
You too.
else, have a great day, man. Take care.
Got it. Take care. Bye.
Okay. Bye.
You've been watching the Friday at 4 podcast series with your host Charles Luttrell and co-host Steve Kent. Thanks for watching.